Welcome to our deep dive, everyone, into the world of import-export specialists. We're focusing today on how to really nail that interview for a role in the hardware, plumbing, and heating equipment industry.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to give you the knowledge and the strategies you need to really stand out against the competition.
We're using a bunch of RoleCatcher resources today. Career guides, interview tips, and even some of the really cool AI tools that can actually help tailor your answers and give you feedback that's specific to this job.
It's like having a personal coach right there in your pocket.
Okay, so let's paint a picture. What exactly does an import-export specialist in this industry do?
They're the experts. They're the ones that make sure that hardware, plumbing, and heating equipment all flows across borders seamlessly. They're dealing with regulations, customs documentation. It's all the complexities of global trade.
So it's not just buying and selling, it's like being this master of logistics, but on a global scale.
Exactly. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics predicts a 7% growth rate for this field through 2029. That's faster than average for all occupations.
Yeah.
Some high earning potential, and you might even get to travel internationally.
All right, so now that we know what we're dealing with, let's dive into the interview prep. And what better way to prepare than by tackling some of those tough questions head on?
Absolutely. A common one you'll get is, what experience do you have in the import-export industry?
Now that seems like a pretty straightforward question, but how can you make your answer really stand out?
So even if you don't have years of experience, you can still highlight relevant skills. Like think about any time that you've had to navigate a complex process. Maybe you organized a school event or planned a trip abroad. These experiences actually show your ability to handle logistics, even if it's on a smaller scale.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's about showcasing transferable skills and showing your potential, even if you haven't worked directly in the field before. And what's even better, you can leverage RoleCatcher's AI to analyze the job description and pinpoint the most relevant experiences from your past.
Exactly. It's like you have this personal assistant that digs through your memory bank and pulls out those gems that align perfectly with what the hiring manager is looking for.
Okay, so now that we've tackled the general experience question, let's get more specific. What experience do you have in the hardware, plumbing, and heating equipment industry?
Now, this is where you show that you've done your homework. You understand the industry and why it's important. Even if your experience isn't directly related, you can still talk about the role of these products in building homes and businesses and the global demand for these essential goods.
So even if you've never installed the faucet, you can still impress them by understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can provide sample answers tailored to that specific job description, which will help you fine-tune your response and make sure it resonates with the hiring manager.
All right, let's move on to another common question. What are your organizational skills like when it comes to managing import-export logistics? What are some key points to hit here?
This is your chance to shine. Don't just say that you're organized. Show them. Talk about how you've managed these complex projects, kept track of multiple shipments, or even used technology to streamline your workflow. Think about those moments when you had to juggle multiple tasks, assess risks, and make quick decisions under pressure.
And RoleCatcher can help by providing examples of strong organizational skills from your past, moments that you might not even remember, that showcase your ability to handle the complexities of this role.
It's like having a highlight reel of your organizational triumphs.
Now let's talk about compliance. It's a huge aspect of this role. The question that you might face is, how do you ensure that import-export operations are compliant with local and international regulations? How would you approach this one?
This is where you show that you're committed to staying informed. Highlight your approach to learning and development. Mention specific industry publications, you follow conferences you attend, or professional organizations that you're a part of.
And RoleCatcher conveniently links to a lot of those resources so you can show that you're already plugged into the import-export community. What if they ask, how do you prioritize import-export operations to ensure that deadlines are met?
Don't just tell them, show them. Describe a situation where you had to prioritize a critical shipment. Maybe you had to reroute a container to avoid a port strike, or you had to work late to expedite customs clearance for a time-sensitive order.
It's all about showing your ability to think strategically, adapt to changing circumstances, and make those sound judgments under pressure. And RoleCatcher's AI-powered interview practice feature allows you to actually rehearse your answers and get feedback on your delivery so you can feel confident and prepared.
So as you prepare for your interview, remember you're not alone. RoleCatcher's tools and resources are there to help you every step of the way.
Now, before we move on, let's pause for a moment and let you absorb all this information. We've covered a lot of ground, but don't worry, we're just getting started.
We'll be back soon with more insights and strategies to help you ace that interview. Welcome back. We're ready to dive into some more of those tricky interview questions.
That's right. We left off talking about prioritizing to meet those deadlines. It's such a key skill for import-export specialists.
Absolutely. But there are a few other crucial areas that we need to explore, like how do you manage those relationships with suppliers and customers across different cultures and time zones?
So let's say the interviewer asks, how do you manage relationships with suppliers and customers in the import-export industry? What kind of answer are they looking for?
Well, it's all about showing off your communication diplomacy and those interpersonal skills. Think about specific examples where you've built rapport, resolved conflicts, or even negotiated win-win solutions with people from different backgrounds.
So if you've ever smoothed things over with a supplier who missed a deadline or found a creative way to meet a customer's really unique request, those are the stories to share.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you refine these anecdotes and make sure that you're highlighting the skills that matter most to the specific employer.
So it's like having a storytelling coach who helps you craft that perfect narrative to showcase your strength. Speaking of staying ahead of the curve, how would you answer? How do you stay up to date with changes in the import-export industry?
This is where you show off your proactive approach to learning and development. Mention industry publications, you follow conferences, you attend online courses you've taken, or professional organizations you're a part of.
And RoleCatcher provides links to a ton of resources, so you can show you're already actively engaged in the import-export community.
Exactly. It's all about showing a genuine passion for your field and a commitment to continuous learning. Now let's talk about showing off your ambition. The question might be phrased like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what are your long-term career goals?
I feel like this is where a lot of candidates stumble. It's not just about saying, I want to be a manager. It's about showing a clear path and connecting your aspirations to the company's vision.
Right. Do your research, understand their growth strategy, their target markets, and explain how your skills and interests align with their goals. For instance, you could say, I'm really fascinated by the growing demand for sustainable building materials. I see myself specializing in importing eco-friendly plumbing and heating solutions for your company's expansion into those green building projects.
That's such a great example. It shows you thought deeply about your career and how you can actually contribute to the company's success. And RoleCatcher's career guides actually give you valuable insights into typical career paths for import-export specialists, giving you a framework to articulate your goals.
It's like having a roadmap for your career journey to help you navigate all those twists and turns and reach your destination. Now let's circle back to the industry-specific experience question. Sometimes they'll ask follow-up questions to really gauge your knowledge. They might ask, what are some of the challenges you anticipate facing in the hardware, plumbing, and heating equipment industry?
That's a really great point. It's not just about knowing the industry, but also knowing the potential roadblocks and how you problem solve.
Exactly. You could mention things like supply chain disruptions, fluctuating material costs, or even those evolving regulations, and then explain how you would actually approach those challenges.
So, for example, you could say, I'm aware that supply chain disruptions have been a major challenge in recent years. To try to mitigate this risk, I would prioritize building strong relationships with multiple suppliers and stay informed about potential disruptions through industry news and alerts.
That's a fantastic example. It shows you're not just aware of the challenges, but you're proactive in finding solutions.
All right, before we move on, let's take a moment for you to reflect on what we've discussed so far. We've covered some crucial questions and strategies, but there's still more to come.
We'll be back soon with more insights to help you conquer that import-export interview.
Welcome back. We're in the final stretch of our import-export interview deep dive.
That's right. We've covered a lot. But let's tackle a few more of those nuances that can really set you apart.
We talked about managing relationships with suppliers and customers. But what about navigating those cultural differences? Like, what if the interviewer asks, how do you handle communication challenges when working with people from different cultures?
This is where you can really showcase your global mindset. Think about those times when you had to adapt your communication style. Be sensitive to those cultural norms, or maybe you had to bridge language barriers.
So maybe you successfully negotiated a deal with a client from a culture that has a very different approach to business etiquette. Or you collaborated on a project with a team that was spread across multiple time zones.
Exactly. Those examples really show your ability to navigate the complexities of cross-cultural communication, which is so important in import-export.
And RoleCatcher's AI can analyze that job description and actually suggest ways to tailor your answer to highlight those specific cultural competencies that are most relevant to this job.
It's like having a cultural translator to help you speak the language of success in any global setting.
Now, let's go back to that question about staying up to date with industry changes, because there might be follow-up questions like, what are some recent developments in the hardware, plumbing, and heating equipment industry that you've been following?
This is where you can showcase your knowledge and passion for the industry. Have you been reading about new technologies, sustainable materials, or those changing regulations?
Yeah. For example, you could mention the rise of smart home technology and its impact on the demand for connected plumbing and heating systems. Or you could talk about the growing emphasis on energy efficiency and the increasing popularity of solar-powered water heaters.
Exactly. When you show awareness of those trends, you show the interviewer that you're not just knowledgeable about the present, but you're thinking ahead to the future of the industry.
And RoleCatcher can even link you to articles and resources to help you stay informed about the latest developments in your field.
It's like having this personalized news feed to keep you in the loop on all things import-export.
And now let's talk about one final question that can be a real game changer. What are your salary expectations?
This is where preparation is absolutely key. Do your research. Research those industry benchmarks and salary ranges for similar roles in your location.
Now, RoleCatcher's salary data can be a super valuable tool for this.
Exactly. You have to have a realistic range in mind and be able to articulate why you're worth what you're asking for.
You can say something like, based on my research and experience, I'm seeking a salary between X and Y. I believe my skills in compliance logistics and relationship management, along with my proven track record of success in international trade, make me a strong candidate who can contribute significantly to your company's bottom line.
Now, that's a confident and well-supported answer that shows you've done your homework and you're serious about your career.
So there you have it, a comprehensive deep dive into the world of import-export specialist interviews. Remember, with thorough preparation, strategic insights from RoleCatcher, and a little bit of confidence, you can ace that interview and land your dream job in this dynamic and rewarding field.
Exactly. Now go out there and make your mark on the world of global trade.
We're cheering you on. Until next time, happy diving.